The next sales concept I want to talk about is how do you sell without giving away all your secrets, right? A lot of people are afraid when they make content, well, what if I give away all the secrets? Like, no one will have anything to buy from me, which is the exact opposite, because 99% of people are never going to buy from you, but they will judge you based on the quality of your free content. And so the idea is like, give away all the information and then sell the implementation.
So many of you guys sell information, education, media related stuff. Where people make mistakes where they're like, how much do I teach versus how much do I pitch, right? The issue is not understanding what kind of information you should teach at each stage. And so there's two types of education. There's declarative knowledge and there's procedural knowledge. I didn't invent this. It's just education system in the last 100 years, but people just don't talk about it. So declarative knowledge is knowledge about something. This is what you use to sell. Procedural knowledge is about how to do something. This is what you sell. If you use this to try and sell stuff, people will walk away with a shitload of to-dos and they're like, I'm good. Mm-hmm. What you want to talk about is all the things about how it works, about the outcomes, about what is possible. Teach how it works conceptually, not, so if I say, I'll give you an example. Hey, you have a business, you're doing $2 million a year. If you go from 2 million to 5 million, you cross over the institutional threshold. At that point, your multiple goes from 3 to 7. And so you go from having something that might be worth $4 million to something that might be worth $35 million, just by adding another $3 million in revenue. And here's why that is, because institutional buyers, blah, 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 blah. Me explaining that, people are like, whoa, that is really interesting. I didn't know how all that worked. I didn't teach how to do it. I teach about how it works. Mm-hmm. That still is incredibly valuable because what's really nice about declarative knowledge is that everyone gets value from it because you just have to be there to get the value. When you teach tactics, you have to do the tactics to get the value, which means they can't do it with you. They have to go and then do it, and then they would extract the value, right? So it's at a delay, which means they don't want to buy right now. And so whatever you're teaching, you want to be predominantly declarative in nature. Let me teach you about this stuff that you aren't aware of. This is where breaking beliefs around specific, I think that, like, this is the old model, this is the new model. I'm not teaching you, here's how you set up a domain, here's how you warm it up. And so, right, like, here's how you have an AI agent, here's how you personalize the first, like, we're not teaching that. We're saying, did you know that if you go from not personalized to personalized, this is the increase? Whoa, I'm gonna show you that's how it works, and then I will sell you how to do it. Mm-hmm. That's what you separate. Again, secrets, implementation.
I had a conversation with a mega influencer, I don't think you would mind, with Mr. Beast a few weeks ago. And we were talking about kind of like the future of media and content. And so one of the things that he was just talking about was the soccer game that came up, that they do like UK versus US. And I've never watched the game, but you might have seen some like YouTube videos about it. So what ends up happening is that they have all these different celebrities or influencers from different platforms, right? And so starting from the lowest, I'm gonna use my little drawing again. The lowest people on this little totem pole, they would walk out in the stadium, and this became the kind of the de facto like measuring stick for who had the most cool points, right? These are the A-listers, okay? And so this is your typical kind of celebs from like movies and like 90s and the 2000s or whatever, right? People like they recognize because they're celebs, but like they don't have like huge, I guess they have some media presence, but it's more like traditional media. The level of applause for these guys was almost nothing. Barely anyone cared. So then the next level that came up was the shorts creators. So this is your like only TikTokers or people who only make reels, but like only short videos, okay? And so they had a little bit more applause on the applausometer compared to the A-listers. Then the long form guys came out. And this is when the audience got way rowdier. All right, so this is your podcasters, your YouTubers, the people who make long form pieces of content. And I'm gonna pause here for a second to kind of like highlight why I think this is. So I don't think there's anything wrong with shorts. We make tons of shorts. But I see the purpose of shorts as many times a way to get someone to watch along, right? They watch a couple shorts and then think, okay, this guy seems legit or this gal seems legit. I'm gonna risk my time, because that's the risk. They're making an investment, right? You're making an investment today. I'm gonna risk that I'm gonna get a good return on this, right? And so shorts then lead to longs. But let me show you the difference from an influence perspective. How many reinforcing cycles do you think you can have in 30 seconds compared to 2 hours? It's like not even close, right? And so if someone watched 2 one-hour pieces of content from me, period, okay, 2 one-hour pieces, it's 120 minutes. For me to get that same level of exposure and kind of cycles of reinforcement with a prospect, right, and they were only consuming shorts, right? Let's say my average short, Michael, do you know what my average short is lengthwise? 15 seconds? Let's say 15 for math's sake. Okay, so let's say it's 15 seconds. So that means it's 4 shorts per minute. So if I have 120 minutes for longs, someone would have to watch 480 shorts to have the same level of exposure as watching 2 hours with me. And think about how important this is. Like, what were the things that people said, like, this was the, quote, podcast election, right? This one that just happened. Trump went on, and I don't care about the politics behind it, but I do care about influence and persuasion. And so, like, why is it that I think, my opinion, the 2 podcasts that I think really nudged this election, my opinion, is the Trump 3-hour plus podcast that he did with Rogan like a week or whatever it was before November, is it November 4th? I think it's November 4th. 11th? November 11th? You guys already know. I'm sure someone in the comments can correct me, okay? I think that was a huge influential event. And I think Elon getting on Tucker Carlson and doing that interview. I think those 2 interviews were some of the interviews that really nudged the election. And again, I don't care who you voted for. It doesn't matter to me. I think about this from marketing persuasion, okay? And so because of that, audiences who were not sure got to spend 3 hours with a presidential candidate, and as a result, it just nudged some of them in the direction to ultimately vote, okay? Now, back to our little story. So, A-listers have almost no applause, shorts have slight applause, longs have legit applause. Then, the live streamers. When the live streamers came out, it was like the entire auditorium or stadium or arena erupted. And when I heard that, it was such a visual example of just like, I mean, we have this saying, which is like butts and seats, right? Like, if you, like some of you guys who are watching this have some level of following, or you make some sort of content, whatever. And some guys who don't, like, you might as well get started, right? But if you just make a bunch of like meme content, right? You demonstrate almost none of these things, right? You demonstrate no status. You give no people any directions on what to do, so they get no positive results as a result in their life as it relates to whatever domain they care about. You're not demonstrating any kind of credibility. And maybe you have some element of likeness. That one you might have. Some element of likeness that might come from a meme sort of content, right? And so what happens is some of you guys are chasing views when what I think you want is you want to have prospects who are more likely to comply with a future request, right? And so we need to change our behavior to maximize the likelihood that occurs, right? And so in looking at this thing, this is why I'm telling you, like, showing my cards, I'm going to be doing more live streams. And I think it's also, and this is me like outside of SPCL, but I think like meta themes overall, is that I think that the internet will always move towards truth. And so I think the A-listers, everything's super curated, everything's super polished, it's photoshopped, it's scripted, right? And as you move closer this way, it's rawer. Like, you have a 3-hour podcast, like, they're not scripted, right? Or most of them aren't, right? Streaming, it's like, yeah, we're live, right? I can't do anything, like, we're live. And so this idea of how can we approximate the rawest reality of us hanging out, right? And actually going through this stuff, I think that is what will unlock the most influence, as long as you are still including these SPCL elements into it. And I think that's the marriage, right? How do I do SPCL and do it as many times as I possibly can? That's the idea. And so live streaming provides that opportunity. Now, let's also think about this from a context of volume, right? So whether you like him or not, Rogan, tremendous influence, right? To the same degree, PBD, tremendous influence. Dave Ramsey, tremendous influence. What is it that these guys have in common, right? What is it they have in common? They're putting out hours of content every single day. So you guys want to hear something a little bit mind-blowing? So I said earlier that we had 35,000 pieces of content, right? Now, I hear plenty of times, there's tons of $1 million businesses, $2 million businesses, things like that. They put out one piece of content a day, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. That's 365 pieces of content a year. And if you think about the size of acquisition.com in terms of our revenue, right, compared to somebody who's doing $1 or $2 million a year, and they're doing 365 pieces of content, we're just quite literally doing 100 times more. That's it. Like, we're literally just doing 100 times the volume. And as a result of that 100 times the volume, What do you think's happening? We get 100 times the prospects. And so a lot of like people want to try and like outsmart themselves and thinking that they can like not do the work that's required, but it's actually far more linear than you would expect. So like we just know that like 1 out of 10, shorts is going to go, is going to be a 2 or 3x outlier. We just know what that math looks like. Same thing for longs, right? And so it's like, how do I just jam as much into that input-output machine as I possibly can? And as long as I'm checking these boxes, like I'm making the right kind of content, then you're going to get the right kind of prospects. All right. So I'll give you one more nugget, and then I'll open up for discussion. And I love Dave, by the way. For those of you like Dave's a G. Dave's been doing like I don't care who you are, you have to respect that man's level of effort. Like he's been doing this for 40 years. 40 years. He's been putting out 3 hours a day of content. It's like, I don't care what you think about him. Like the guy works and he's consistent. And the thing is, and he'll be the first to say it. He's like, it's not like I'm Superman or I'm not like, some rocket scientist here. He's like, but the guy is consistent. And like, I'm telling you, like if you can unlock consistency, like you can become an incredibly dangerous competitor. It's wildly underestimated. And so for those of you who are like starting right now, like start. Like start. You will not make less money by letting more people know about your stuff. Period. Full stop. Rock and roll.
Hey, my name is Gabriel. Sell solar. Also have a personal brand that helps Christian men be better.
Yeah.
I have no plan to monetize this at this point. Just simply help people find Jesus, and the goal is to gain a following at this time. Question is on organic content. That's our biggest constraint. We are putting out 350 to 400 pieces of content a month.
For solar?
Also for solar. This is about the personal brand.
Okay.
For solar with paid ads, it's easy. We just run the 10 hooks.
Did you do this framework?
Yeah. So the question is, how do you split test organic content for different platforms? Meta, TikTok, etc.
How do you split test organic content?
Yeah, like you would for the ads where you do the 10 hooks, 3 bodies, different CTAs, let the algorithm tell you what's up when you spend money behind it. How do you implement that into organic?
You don't. You just make 10 pieces of content. And if you think something was really good and it bombed, you can re-edit it with a new hook. But it would be weird if imagine if you had a page and you saw 10 hooks for the same piece of content. It would be kind of odd. And so obviously, not YouTube, Instagram has the trial reels and whatnot, which is an interesting new function. But every person up to this point in human history of social media has not had that function. And so it's usually just a gross and disgusting amount of volume for an unending period of time. I'm being super real.
I
that's
assume
what
that
it
was
is.
the answer,
Yeah, and so,
genuinely.
Yeah, that is the answer. And that disgusting amount of volume, the learning process is this. We make, call it 100 pieces of content, and then we look back at which ones did well, and we try and point out what was different about those compared to the ones that didn't do well. Then the next 100, we say, let's add 2 points to our checklist and do these extra 2 points for the next 100 videos. And fundamentally, that is how we've continued to make content. So like our long form YouTube videos have massive checklists of just like, okay, we have to do this. Like whenever Alex is about to enter a story, this is what we have to do visually. This obviously the intro is super, super important for long form. But just like we're saying better and more, that accordion, I would say is a consistent theme across all content creators that I've met, which is like in the beginning, you just do a ton. And then you're like, okay, if I just, like this video got 100,000 and the other 10 videos got like 500 views.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, if I just spent a little bit more time, instead of making 10, made 3, I'll bet you I could get like 10,000 views per. And then you start doing that. And you get good at that and you're like, I could probably go from 3 to 10 of these. And then you do 10 of those. And then as you do 10, you're like, you know what, man, these ones popped off. I'll bet you if I spent a little bit more time, right? And so you just keep going back and forth between better and more. And it's a very normal cadence. I will give you one final thing because I know that you're not the only content creator here. There's a lot of mythology around content and volume, which is like Instagram can only take 2 posts a day, or TikTok maxes out at 4, or at 2 o'clock and 6. Like, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. One of the biggest Instagram accounts right now is a Bollywood account They post 100 times a day. They get 9 billion views a month. 100 posts a day. You're just not doing enough. And so now I used to be so okay, let's make sure they're 12 hours spaced out. Like I'll post one and 30 minutes later I'll have something else and I'll post it again. It doesn't matter. Thing is, just 1% of your audience is seeing it anyways. So they'll just push it to somebody else. The content is incentivized to distribute your content. Sorry, the platform is incentivized to distribute the content to people who find it valuable. So just give them more stuff to distribute.
Just go crazy on the input.
Yes. Cool. Just real. I've ran ads for my biz for 2 years and 8x their business. Oh, for a biz, not your biz. 8x their business. I learned everything about the business, but I'm not sure if it's enough proof to talk about and get new clients on the niche. I mean, some proof is better than no proof, for sure. But I would say, can you work for more customers for free or at a discount? I'm telling you, everybody, you will shortcut your path to success by getting 10 testimonials more than just about anything else. Because that's if you look at a conversion page, you look at a VSL, you look at a sales process, if you show 10 testimonials, it's about all you really need. Because once you have 500 or 5,000, like I do, there's actually not a lot of incremental benefit. There's not a ton, right? If the offers book is 27,000 5 stars, at 1,000 5 stars, people are like, this book is probably good, right? And there's very diminishing returns when it comes to getting testimonials. But those first 10 matter so, the amount that you can charge, the amount of experience that you're going to earn, the amount that you'll be able to convert from a sales process, the amount of people who will respond to your advertising, your outreach, huge difference. So it's it will take you less time to get 10 paying customers by getting 10 free customers first and flipping some of them to paid and then using their testimonials to get 10 more than to start from scratch and try to get 10. So that is my TLDR. I do think you can lead with your very compelling example, but I'd still want, you just need to do more volume, man. Partnered with my wife on her business. We sell jewelry with purposes, let's hear. Partnered with my wife on her business. We sell jewelry with purpose, natural stones. What would be the best content to post for advertising? We use TikTok. All right, bro, what are we talking about here? This is super visual. All right, what are we talking about? All right, so number one, you should be on TikTok Shop for sure. If you're not doing that, you should be doing that. Number two, I'll bet you with jewelry, you probably have very good margins with it. And you could probably pay really aggressive affiliate commissions to any other TikTokers who will repost your stuff. And so I would look at, are there small things that I can give out for free? I know that's heavy, but people will be willing to do it. I don't know what revenue is right now, by the way, Junior. But I would also double this on Instagram, and I would want to do as many collab posts as I can with other influencers, with them trying on different things. And I think the big thing that I would want to do is I want to tell the narrative. I want to tell the story behind the jewelry. All right, so I'll give you an idea. Or I'll give you an example. So if you think about selling merch, right? Everyone has t-shirts. There's nothing sexy about a t-shirt. And if a t-shirt just has a logo on it, again, it doesn't really matter. But if you say, let me tell you the story behind why this logo or why this saying is meaningful. And so what we have to do is basically pair this commodity of jewelry with the meaning that you then ascribe to it, or the narrative or the story that you put on top of it. And so 2 years ago, I did my book launch for the Leads book, and some of you guys might have been there. And I sold millions of dollars of hats, all right? And people were willing to pay $100 essentially for a hat. Now, obviously, they got 2 other books and the hat was free, but fundamentally, that was what happened, right? And so what's really interesting about the specific event is that I then spent 4 or 5 minutes just saying let me tell you about why I wear this hat and what this hat means to me. And so after explaining the meaning behind the hat, then way more people were willing to buy it versus hey, do you guys just want to buy a hat? And so I think to the same degree, you need to do that within your content. And you're well, what kind of content should I do? Show the jewelry, show people unboxing the jewelry, show people picking out between different kinds of jewelry, and then you telling the narrative behind each of them in terms of where was the stone sourced? Why did you design it that way? What does this chain do versus this chain? What do these metals do? There's so much to talk about with your content, and don't be afraid to repeat stuff. Just don't be afraid to repeat stuff. And one of the really interesting things with content is that, I'm going to give a Dave Ramsey example, but you need significantly less variety in your content than you think you do. So think about what Dave Ramsey has done for the last 35, 40 years, however many years it's been. He has told people to spend less than they make. That has been his core message. Don't go into debt, spend less than you make, cut up your credit cards, pay off your loans. That's more like, obviously it's the 7 baby steps, and that's awesome. But my point is this, is that people still tune in every day when they know what the message is, because they're like, I wonder how this will apply to a stripper. I wonder how this will apply to somebody who won the lottery. I wonder how this will apply to somebody who's got a kid who's going to college now, and it's a good college or it's a bad college, right? And so the thing is that you can have a single framework or single core product or concept, and the variety will just come from the examples that you use. Cool? All right. And so when you're providing value in any domain, you're like, I want to build my personal brand. Like, your personal brand will be built on the amount of value you can provide other people. Like, just help other people. Like Zig Ziglar said, this old school personal development guy. We said, you can get whatever you want in life as long as you help enough other people get what they want. And I think it's so true. So I would just think, how can I help other people get what they want? And if you're like, if you don't have enough proof, and like everyone misses this, start for free. Work for free. Get experience. Go get 10 free clients. Go do the work for them. Make it a free trial plus penalty, right? It's a great way to get started. I talk about this in the first chapter, or one of the first chapters in the Leads book, your first 5 clients. It literally outlines the entire offer structure, when to start charging. All of this is inside of the Leads book. I think I have it. I'll tell you what page it's on. It's page 51. So I explain my first business and how I did it, how the outreach worked, how I started for free, and then when, how to do the literally what messages to send, how to send them, and then the actual process of doing this. And I give you 11 ways of showing proof. It's on page 61. This guy? Sorry, that probably popped some of your drums. Page 61. It's all 11 ways to show proof so that you don't look like a newbie. Okay? Rock and roll.
My name is Jonathan. I sell dating services to single men and help them get their dating life together. Revenue, we range between 250 to 900. I would like my revenue to be at 1.2 million because I like to net 100,000 a month, ideally. What I believe is stopping me is that the metrics on all of my social media have gone down, and my fans have been telling me, you're shadow banned, I'm not getting notifications.
Yeah.
So,
Do you do anything political?
I mean, I was endorsing Trump, so maybe that's probably it.
I mean, might be it, honestly.
But like passively, not like a whole stream on like why, not like why you should vote for him. Yeah.
Well, is that when it stopped?
No. When
Okay, well then.
I have a theory. It was like when Andrew Tate went to jail in 2022 December. I noticed like a big change in my viewership, and I don't know if my fans just really like me and they're like just lying to me, like you've been shadow banned.
Yeah.
But I don't know. This is a problem because I like my.
Do you have some videos that do better than others still?
So I don't do videos. I do live streams. But yeah, I consistently live stream. That's how I do everything. Even leading up to launches. All I do
You don't
is
make like videos?
not
like
really.
posts?
It's just the live streams. Kind of like in my personal theory, like live streaming is like to a degree indoctrinating your following and then lowering resistance, and then eventually they buy in. So like I said, I've been able to do, all my business has been organic. My best launch was like $250,000 in 5 days, which is like, 90, 85% profit. But nothing has really changed in what I do, but I'm seeing all metrics shrink, and it's like, I'm freaking out.
Yeah, no, I hear you. So, I mean, basically, at the simplest level, one of 2 things changed. Either you changed something unknowingly, which is the content's not as good or it's not, as compelling or whatever, or something else changed, which is either the environment changed, so like maybe it sounds tone deaf now, or the algorithm changed in terms of how it's pushing out lives. Which I don't know, you're actually the only person that I know that does lives as their primary organic strategy.
Yeah. I've yet to meet somebody to replicate my numbers. I'm also one-man business.
Yeah, no, there's tons of people who do your numbers are bigger.
But
with a
from live
one-man
streaming?
business. No, not with live streaming, but with making content on a regular basis. And so I think it's like you just need more views, man. Like that's all it really comes down to. And so it's like, I'll say this, if you keep doing what you're doing, it will continue to stop working and get worse. So let's not do that. I think you're gonna have to do kind of the, a gentleman I was talking to earlier with pest control. He's like, I've got this agency and it's working. Well, it's like, let's do the live streams. Can we also clip that and make that into content? Like the best moments at least?
So yeah, my shorts are like my largest traffic source back then, doing like 16, 15 millions on some
And
of my
do you
shorts.
not do shorts anymore?
The hit has been pretty big. They've gone down to like 8, 900 sometimes. I am happy if it gets to 1,000.
Views.
Yes, per short.
Yeah. So, I mean, maybe you did get shadow banned. I don't know.
The question just how to fix it if I am theoretically shadow banned, or how do I address
If you
this
are
problem?
shadow banned, it's like you probably need to start a new account.
Okay.
That's like, and the good news about quote shadow banning is this: if you start a new account, because of how social media has changed, it has been largely democratized, especially for short form content. So somebody who has a brand new account that has 0 followers can make a clip that gets 10 million views. So like it's not nearly the death sentence that it used to be because it's based on interest graphs now far more than it is followership. So you can keep doing your lives on one channel, and I think that's like, again, that's the big if here is like, are you shadow banned? I don't know. Do you have a rep that you can reach out to? Because usually they'll tell you.
No, they just like it's just some guy in Paraguay who doesn't give a shit.
I don't like pointing to things that I can't control. So I'm like, is there anything that I can do to make these shorts better? It feels unlikely that you went from 5 million a clip to 1,000 a clip. That feels like a pretty tremendous drop.
15.
Yeah, or 15 million a clip, sure. A big drop, regardless. And so, if I were you, I would be in hyperactive mode right now, which is I'd be trying to find a new way to promote. And so you keep the thing because you have to keep the lights on, but I would strongly consider. But are you only YouTube?
I mean, I have 58,000 on Instagram, and
Does it happen there?
no, it does not happen there.
Okay, so can we double down on Instagram in the short term and then like create a new account on YouTube?
I'm here to do what you say.
Okay. Appreciate it. Do you monetize Instagram at all?
No.
Well, dude, I mean, Instagram is one of the easiest ones to monetize. Of all platforms, Instagram is like the most monetizable because you can directly message your customers. Like every person who follows you, you can DM. Are you you're selling to webinars, right?
No webinars.
Well, you sell to lives, whatever.
I'm sorry?
You sell via live.
Yes.
Right, and you do that how often? The pitches.
My show, I've been running it
How often do you pitch?
once a quarter.
Okay. So it might be advantageous to, okay. I mean, it's leaning more towards that you might have gotten shadow banned. And if that's the case, let's walk through this, shall we? All right. So for Instagram, I think you do a ManyChat integration and then DM new followers and replies, and then send them to lives. When you go live on YouTube, also go live on Instagram. Very easy. Just get a second phone if you need to. Go live on both.
I do that,
Okay, so you do go live on Instagram.
but I get like 4 or 5 people watching.
Okay. So when we have this, you can add them to the broadcast and then let them know when you're going live, because you should get more than 4 or 5. Nasty. It's just because we have this big question mark of, are you bad at content now, or did you have the gods of social media tell you that you're not allowed to promote anymore?
There's a group of people I kind of like.
Instagram does tell you if you're shadow banned though. So you can look at it in your client settings. So I would check that. And if they haven't, then it just might, like, I would so much prefer to know that like the content's just not that good, because that's super fixable.
There's a group of people I'm associated with, and they've all kind of been throttled as well. Like the Fresh and Fit podcast, and some of these people, they're all like, we've all kind of been uniformly kind of flatlined from 23-ish, because like they have a huge podcast and they've been stuck at 1.5 mil, Fresh and Fit.
You mean on Instagram?
On YouTube.
Okay. And they just don't get views there either?
No, they get views, but we're all like, our subscribership and whatnot is not necessarily growing, and their views have massively taken a hit. They used to do like 300-400. Now they're like 1-ish.
1-ish thousand?
100.
Oh, 100.
Yeah.
That doesn't sound like shadow banning.
Okay.
Going from like 300 to 100 just sounds like YouTube has shifted over time,
Okay.
and like we just need to adapt to what's working now.
The crazy part about my views is like my views have usually typically ranged between on the live streams 1,000 to 5,000, and then the money just kept growing. So I was like, great, I have a fucking money printer.
Yeah.
But now the views are still same,
Yeah.
maybe slightly dropped, but the sales have just like it's
Yeah.
just like abysmal. It's so terrifying. Yeah. That's why I'm here.
No, I hear you. It's like you have this one trick that worked, and so I think you might just need to learn another trick.
Okay.
But at least you have second platform. So it's like you've just only done live streams, and that's how you've done it. It's like you might be able to just like push people to a phone call. You could push people to a webinar. Like you could probably do more than once every 12 weeks, do a pitch. Like there's plenty of levers that we can look at.
And I have high ticket immersion stuff that's like 10K, and those are easy to sell, but I just need more eyes and views. That when you teach a guy how to date, he doesn't come back because he's out dating.
Out dating. Yeah. I mean, to be fair, it's education. And like there's no continuity program on Harvard. You just graduate, and then it's that. And then they get you in the endowment, and there's all that. But like, I think we have to focus on the controllables, which is that the content needs to improve, and you probably need to make more content and make more diverse content. Probably need to start using tools like oneof10.com, if you're not familiar with that. You know what that is?
Oneof10.com?
Mm-hmm. So oneof10.com is basically it's like YouTube repository where you can just search for topics, and it will show you the highest outperformers in terms of headline packaging and thumbnails across all channels on YouTube. And then from there, you can basically create ideations of, okay, how can I apply this to my niche? And so I'm guessing that like the fact that the other guys went from like 300 to 100, like to me, that's not shadow banning. That's just like their content wasn't as good as it used to be, or it's just like it's not as relevant as it used to be. Like people aren't like bitching about Red Pill as much as they were before. And so it's like maybe part of it needs, like your content might have to adapt. So I would honestly prefer it just be that, which is the content's not good enough, fine. Then like let's look at topics and let's look at headlines and let's fix it. Let's make it something that people want. We've had to change our stuff all the time. And I think it's just like you learn a trick, it worked, it was a great ride, now you have to change again.
Okay. Thank you.
Started the world's first AI certified consultant program back in early 2023. My business partner Valentine and I, who got here today, we have the world's largest Facebook group for AI, 3.6 million.
Do you really?
Yeah.
Wild. It's a lot.
Yeah, actually, Facebook shut us down one day. Shout out to everybody else who got shut down that day.
School won't.
Yeah, well, that was a funny story. We moved 1,000 people to our school group that day.
And
so
the engagement's sky high.
yeah, it's been great. So what we do obviously is teach people how to use AI specifically for business and marketing.
Yeah.
One of the challenges that we have a couple product lines. Actually, Daniel Giardo, another business partner, he just recently acquired a software company that I have. But we all serve the same verticals, which is business owners and people who want to use AI to make money.
Yeah.
So we have a course that is $1,500. We have an AI certification program that's a $5K. That's a recurring revenue offer. We did not have
Annual?
Yes, annual.
Okay.
We did not have a low ticket offer until this year when we just couldn't figure out why we couldn't get our giant Facebook group to buy anything. We started doing a little research on that, and it looks like we have, out of 3.6 million, we have about 1 million that live in a Western country, and we
Okay.
think that probably has something to do with it.
Sure.
So we this year started launching $5 offers that has been $17, $27, $37 upsells, and then now we're moving people to our school group, which is a $49
Sick.
a month. So we have 3,000 people in our school group.
Nice.
We have about 500 members in our AI Persona Method course, which is an education on how to use AI, and we have 170 people going through our AI Certified Consultant program.
Okay.
The problem that we're trying to figure out here is we have 3.6 million people.
Yeah.
We're trying to figure out what our attention, we're trying to figure out what the best content strategy is to kind of, or maybe you would know best, maybe we're trying to cast too wide of a net. But we're trying to obviously maximize and monetize the massive audience that we've built. So I think that's our main issue right now.
So do you feel like you're under monetizing that 3.6 million person audience?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, we probably monetize like 0.01%, or less.
Yeah. Well, I don't think it's as bad as you think it is. Because 2.6 are not even US. So I will just generally just like cast that out for the purpose of our like discussion. And so you've got 1 million people in the US who are the higher likelihood people who are going to buy or spend more material amounts of money. Of the 1 million people that are in the group, how many of those million are active? Would be like the next subset, which would probably be like a significant amount, probably less than 1 million.
Yeah, I would say on a month-to-month basis, we probably have maybe Valentin would know the numbers better, but probably 100,000 or so people that are active.
Yeah, that's still great. I mean, that's still awesome. So you have 100,000 people who are active. So I would use that as my number because literally, basically, everyone else either can't afford it or isn't paying attention. And so you have 100,000 people that are kind of like on your pseudo email list, if you think about it like that. And so we need them to engage. And so and that community, do you just put in like AI trainings and stuff, or like what do you?
Yeah, so we have AI trainings. We have definitely started moving all of our courses into the school platform as well, so we can see the upsell opportunity.
Can I give you the content strategy that I would do?
I'd love it.
Yeah, so when I talk about declarative versus procedural, you want to be demonstrating 2 things. You want to show what AI can do, not how to do it. Let me show you this cool thing I built. Here's a screenshot of the thing. Now let me show you what it does. Not like all the boring stuff that like no one's going to watch and feels guilty about not watching it. But you want to show like, this is what you can do if you learn this skill. And they're like, how do I learn that skill? And you're like, go over here. And so the nice thing is that stuff people will engage with because it's cool. Like in and of itself, it's cool. And so that content will do better and will engage more people, in my opinion. And so that's where your CTAs can be like, hey, if you want to try all of our thing, this is just one of 100 different automations that we have inside of our school community that will show you how to build. And so basically each of the builds that you do becomes a lead magnet for a different avatar. And you're showing what happens when you do it right. It's the ultimate proof. And then you can sprinkle in the testimonial stuff. But I think by and large, if you just show what someone can do and the zillion use cases that AI can handle, that will give you like gazillions. And so I would think about it like a matrix of on like the vertical, I would have all the different functions that you guys know how to build. And then on the vertical, I would have the different business use cases that it would apply to. So it's like, I'm going to do an answering service for lawn care, an answering service for a spa, answering service for, right? So like most of the times this goes for everybody. We assume that we need significantly more variety than our avatars think you think you need to reinvent the wheel. You need to just show a wheel going through mud, and then a wheel going through water, and then a wheel going through hard gravel, and then a wheel going through concrete. Like you just need to show the same thing over and over again in slightly different settings. And I'll give you the most natural extreme of this. So think about Dave Ramsey, right? Dave Ramsey has a show where people call in and he says, spend less money.
Right.
Spend less than you make. And that's the show. And he's been doing it for 45 years, 3 hours a day. Ring, ring. Hello. I wonder what he's going to say. I wonder if the spend less than you make applies to somebody who just won the lottery. I wonder if spend less than you make applies to someone who just got divorced. I wonder if spend less than you make applies to, you know what I'm saying here? Like people have no ingenuity. Like the vast majority of the market has zero creativity. They cannot imagine anything. And so we assume that they know everything that we know. And so of course you can apply this framework to all these different scenarios. The reason that in the webinar on money models, I had to be like, we work with brick and mortar, and I did that whole laundry list is because people will wait and then be like, oh, that one's me. Okay, good. So this applies to me. And I'm like, for fuck's sake, right? Of course does cash flow improve your business? Tell me one that doesn't improve the business. But I had to say every single type of business. And some of you guys may have caught this or may have not, but I actually did it 2 different ways. So one was I listed the names of the portfolio companies. I obviously provided proof in case studies. That's like the one way of doing it. The other way of doing it was I did a reverse label. And so some of you guys may have caught this, but I said, hey, there's only 4 ways to sell, right? You can sell in person with a salesperson. You can sell online with a salesperson. You can do self-checkout in person or self-checkout online. There's only 4 ways to sell, and money models work in all 4. And before I introduced each one, I was like, who's the number 1? Everyone raised their hand. I'm like, great, this works for you. And by the end, everyone has said they're one of the 4. And so then it works for everyone. But that's what I had to create a framework to be like, oh no, this one is me. It's like, yeah, of course, right? And so you want to create, like, 2 is too few, but 4 is enough that it feels like there's more there. And so I think from a marketing perspective for you, my goal would be to siphon everything from Facebook into school, not because, I mean, I don't care. Like, we have a lot
You're
of
not
users.
biased at all, no.
We have a lot of users. I'm not worried about it. But the marketing strategy would be just show them what you do, apply it into a new setting. Don't show how to build the whole thing. Or if you do, make it like super fast, like 60 seconds of like, so all we did was we connected this to this to this to this, and we had it train on this, and then this is the voice that came out. Let me show you what it looks like in action.
You know
and
what?
then they're like, fuck, I want to learn
I think
that.
you're absolutely right, because looking back on the webinar that we have, we do teach a lot of procedural stuff that we probably should just strip out. And we did a survey. We have been very good at doing surveys, and we found that like 88% of the people that actually bought our programs, when we asked them like, why did you join the program? Literally 88% said they want to learn how to make money with AI.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm thinking about just redoing our webinar content saying, here's 5 ways you can use AI to make money. Which one of these is a way that will work for you?
Yeah. And I think if you make it a choose your own adventure, then they'll be like, whoa, this is so cool.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Thanks, Alex.
Happy to help. You talk a lot about reminding people who you are and assuming people don't know you. How often do you do this reminder? How often do you position with your content? Dude, I do it at every single piece. I'd say long form. Short form, you don't really have time to do it. But in long form. And I think the profile is kind of like your way of saying who you are. So if people click the thing in a short, they click the thing, or say they watch it, they think it's good, they click over to your profile. That gives you a little bit of the bio of who I am, and then you can kind of watch everything else if you think about a user journey or a click journey. Within a long form piece of content, you're gonna introduce yourself within the first 30 seconds or so. And your introduction should be like, I would say, memorize it and get it tight. Get very tight, and ideally, if it's education, try and relate your history to credibility that is related to the subject matter. So like, if I'm making a sales video, I'm going to talk about my experience selling. If I'm making a marketing video, I'm going to explain about my experience running paid ads. If I'm talking about making content, I'm going to talk about my audience following. So each of those kind of show you different sides of me, but it's still going to be related to the core subject. So you can kind of like check 2 boxes with one step, which is like, I'm going to introduce myself and give credibility related to the topic at the same time. But yes. And I don't, to your point of like, the point is to be repetitive, avoid being repetitive all the time. I actually don't think I don't think you really have any fear around telling people who you are. It just, I wouldn't give a 2-minute life story every video. I would say make it like 10 seconds, maybe, right? My name is Alex Hormozi. I own acquisition.com, which is portfolio companies. I've made more money than I need to, and I'm going to help you do some of the things that are some of the principles that we've learned. Like, it doesn't have to be long. Now, again, if you look underneath my videos, I actually put my whole life story in the description, which, as a side note for everybody, I think one of the biggest hacks you can do is if you do make any kind of written content, that description of my YouTube, which maybe Kirby is pulling up, that description is actually the #1 highest performing LinkedIn post of all time for me. And so it's actually not like untested content like that. Like how I got here, that's basically the hook for the best performing piece of content I've ever had, all the way down to my name, signing out my name, Alex. Like that whole thing, all of that is my highest performing LinkedIn piece. So it's like, okay, well, I know that people like that piece of content, and it also helps them know who I am. And so if you can do something like that, I think that gives you a little bit of 2 birds, 1 stone. But great question. All right, to start an automation business for finance departments of companies of 20 to 200 people, what kind of LinkedIn content should I make? All right. Just talk about what you know. So I mean, if you're making these kind of automations for finance departments, like talk about one at a time, the automations that you do and what happens as a result. Like there's probably 150 like repeated tasks that finance departments do. So I would probably like, first off, make myself a list of every single micro task that somebody in a finance department would do. And then one by one, that would probably be my content schedule. And I would say, I'm going to make
150 pieces of content. Each one is going to explain how to automate each one of these specific portions. People who will read that and watch that will be the types of people who will buy your stuff. And don't be afraid, talking and eating, tough. Don't be afraid of giving away the secrets. Like, no one in finance is going to want to learn your tech stuff. They just want to know that it works. Especially if you can show like a mini, like a 5-second or 10-second thing of like a process running in the background or how it's happening automatically that's showing the result. I think that will be super valuable.
We sell language courses to people in Latvia, and we do around $1 million revenue. And about a year ago, that was mostly through one-on-one private lessons with our team. And now, for the past year, it's also digital products, and we've seen great success with those. And my question actually, and that's kind of constrained, but what's your, in order to put out good stuff and quality stuff, what's your writing hygiene or protocol like?
Where's Jay? There's Jay. Can you wave, Jay? So Jay's taking notes on this whole thing. And so the next time we film, he's going to be like, all right, you draw the circle thing. Can you talk about that? Hey, you talked about the best way to do an event on a funnel for a webinar, and then you talked about the best way to do an event for an in-person thing. And then before that, you talked about whether international should go to US, when it's the right time or not to expand. Like, that's how I create my content.
But also when it comes back to your books and stuff, like when you go into your cave, how much of that is like rereading, then putting it aside? Like, what's your best way, like, that did you found about yourself?
Real answer is that I actually try and reason from ground zero how something works. I start as though I know nothing. And then try and, like, what are the only statements that I know for sure are true? And then I just try and only reason up from first principles in terms of, like, I know that if something is fast, it is better than if it is slow. I know that if it requires many steps for someone to do versus few, more people want the few steps. If something is very high risk versus low risk, more people want the low risk thing. And so from thinking about, like, what other components are there that would increase the likelihood that someone makes a purchasing decision, right? And so I just think about it from that perspective, and then I just throw out almost all the mythology associated with it. Like, most of the quote conclusions I start with are like, who here has it emotional versus logical buyers, right? Everyone raised their hands. But the thing is like, I heard that and I used to parrot it because other people said it before me, but I never really thought about it. And I was like, well, how the fuck do you know if someone's an emotional or logical buyer? You just know if they bought. Okay, well, do they know why they bought? No. Like, why do you do anything? No one knows. Like, how did they, like, if they don't know why they did something, how am I going to know? Right? Mm-hmm. And so I just think, okay, well, I do know that the more information someone consumes, the more likely they are to buy. Okay, so then it's actually a continuum, not a binary, and we can just move people along. Okay, that makes sense. That also syncs with how branding works. Okay, and then kind of leveling up from there. And so what I'll start with is all of my, like, anecdotal findings of all the things that I've learned that, like, tend to work, and then I try and find through lines that unify them into principles that apply across time. And so for me, I retroactively test stuff to make sure that it's true. That's why the Leads book was so hard, because media changes so much. Leads was by far the hardest book I've ever written. It was unbelievable. It was impossible. Okay. That's why it was 19 drafts. It's horrendous. I will never do it.
So you would be coming back to these and criticizing yourself again and again.
I want to break it. How can I break this model? Like, every time it's like, okay, anyway, so you saw the Logan Paul thing, right? And so he's like, okay, discipline is action or not action? And I was like, okay, well, I mean, does it take discipline to have sex with somebody you like? No. Okay, well, then that's an action. So how is that? That's not discipline. Okay, so I used your definition and found something that's clearly not discipline. So that breaks the definition. And so in thinking about it from that perspective, I just think, like, how can I create a definition around something that doesn't break it? What is influence? The likelihood someone complies with a request, I feel like it's pretty strong. Is there something that's not influence? I don't know, that feels pretty good to me. And until I find something that breaks that definition, that'll be my working definition. And so almost every one of the books I have starts with, what is this? What's an offer? What's a money model? What are leads? What is an engaged lead? What's advertising? What is selling? And so I start with, what is this thing? And the reason that I think the content that I have disproportionately performs is that I act as though I'm speaking to an autist. And so the idea is that an autist can only observe what they can see, right? They're not going to interpret sarcasm or additional meaning, reading between the lines. They're absolutists, they're objectivists. But that also means that you can teach everyone when you boil it down to only things that are observable, because there's nothing you can question about it. So if I'm a court reporter, or if I'm explaining this to an alien, I can't say, it kind of feels like, it's like, that's not helpful. So I have to define things in terms of things that are observable. And when you do that, way more people get it, because everyone can agree on what they can observe, not on what they feel. And most of the stuff that's out there in terms of education, especially in the business space, I know you're in the language space, but especially in the business space, does a lot of woo-woo and mysticism and mythology and superstition. And the reason for that is because it's so quickly reinforced. And so like, if I'm a sales guy and I sneeze right before I make an offer, and then the person buys, I'm gonna be like, oh my God, I gotta sneeze every time, right? Whenever you have a fast reinforcement loop, that's where superstition occurs. And so like when you have a baseball player, he steps up to the plate, they have their little dance they do, and they get ready, because right after that, they either hit the ball or they don't hit the ball. So it's a very fast feedback loop. If you're a basketball player, they have their whole thing they do before they do their foul shots. And it's because there's a fast feedback loop. And so fast feedback loops means very good for learning, but you don't always learn the right thing. And so for me, I have to think, what things can I observe to be true, and then only talk about those things. And then when I describe sales in that way, it cuts through the bullshit. And so if I write a sales book, like, anybody have the sales handbook? Has anyone read the sales handbook? Who has their hand up? It's good, right? It's savage. It's fucking good. And that's just like the first 70 pages if I write a full one. But part of what I had to tackle in that book was that I hadn't tackled was tonality. So a lot of people talk about tone. We know that it's important, but like, what is it? And I used to hear my guys be like, hey, more curious tone. And I was like, what is that? Define curious tone. So then I had to go to, what are the things a human being can do with their voice? And so you can go up, you can go down, you can go faster, you can go slower, you can pause. Right? So it's like, okay, what are all the things I can do with a voice? Then I separated, okay, what are the things that need to be constant and what are the things that are variable? And so it turns out that for me, I define tone as there's 3 constants and there's 2 variables. So the constants is that you have to speak loud enough that someone can hear you, you have to articulate clearly enough they can understand you, and you have to speak slow enough that they can understand you. So those are things that are constant. If you speak too fast, too quiet, or you don't articulate, you lose comprehension, which by extension you lose persuasion. The only 2 things that change in a sale are going to be how high or low you make your voice, and when you pause. And when you make your voice high, it solicits a response. When you pause, it solicits attention. And so it would make sense that the point in the sale where you solicit the most attention and a response is where you ask a question and shut the fuck up. And so in thinking about that, I was able to relook at even our own scripts and say, okay, let's take all this trash out and just say, these 3 things are constant, so you will always talk this way, and you achieve those things by knowing the script. Great, and here's how you memorize the script. Now you know that. So the only 2 things that I have to have on this script to get tone right is where you stop talking and where you raise your voice. That's it. That is how I operationalize sales. And so to answer the original question, how do I go about making content? I act as if I know nothing and act as if I cannot perceive or understand anything that I cannot define. And people will stop learning the moment they get to a word they don't get. And so I try to speak at a 3rd grade reading level or 5th grade reading level or below, and I run all my stuff through that in order to do it. And if I do have a word that's above, I define it. And I define it in that way.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Some of you guys may have heard this. And it's a concept of social media is now turning into interest media, okay? So what does this mean? Let's unpack this for a second. So if you make content and you judge it by views, I think that's dumb, and I'll explain why. If I have a grandma in public come and just do a running slap and just slaps me across the face, that video will probably get views. But does it get the grandma views? No. Does it get me any more people who now believe more in my stuff? No. But what it will do is it will show it to people who are interested in humor, which is a lot of people, right? But those might not be your customers, and they probably aren't. So assuming you're not an entertainer and you are somebody who's a business person, and if you're in business, whatever business you're at, e-commerce, SaaS, services, brick and mortar, doesn't matter. If you sell services to anyone, you're likely going to be an educator, not an entertainer. Meaning you're trying to provide value to people to change their behavior in some way, and ideally changing the behavior that gets them to walk closer to you and buy stuff. Okay? So what do I mean by social versus interest? If you want to attract the right avatar, make content for that avatar. That sounds so obvious and simple, and the thing is that no one does it, because here's the writer downer. The content is the targeting. Like, the algorithm is so good now, it knows what you're talking about. It knows it can literally judge your background. It judges what you're wearing. It judges who you are, and will display it to the people that they know have a history of watching content that is similar to that people find valuable. And so if you're making stuff about how to fix pianos because you're a piano repair guy, then you will find people who are trying to fix their pianos, right? Or maybe they're making a purchasing decision relative to pianos, and maybe they want to see which ones break the least or whatever. But if you're making that type of content, you might be like, man, I'm only getting 1,000 views a video. It's like, yeah, but the market of people who are buying pianos might be significantly smaller than the market of people who just want to be entertained or distracted. So it's not fair to compare your views against Mr. Beast's. It doesn't make any sense, right? And so if I were to think to myself, like, I have a room of 1,000 people that are going to watch this, and all of them are only interested in fixing pianos, that's a hell of an opportunity. And so we have just like wildly I don't want to say not tracked. We track views, of course, but like I care so much more about IRL responses. So what do I mean by that? If I make a video and then I get texts from business owners that I like and that I respect being like, yo, that was fire, then I'm like, okay, I'm on the right track. And so some of you guys, let me know in the comments you guys have seen a format that we talked about. We call it cash cows, but basically it's me. There's a business owner that presents a little bit about their business, and they come to this side, and we talk about how to improve their business, right? So let me know in the comments if you like that style, and if you do, let me know if you're a business owner or not. Okay, so like I like that style, and I'm not a business owner. I like that style, and I am a business owner, or I don't like that style, and I'm a business owner, or I don't like that style, and I'm not a business owner. Let me know in the chat. I'm at a delay, so I'm just gonna guess what the responses are. But here's the reality of it. Whenever people are here in person at our headquarters, right? You were like that style in your business owner. Okay, great. Yes. Okay, yes, exactly. So if you are a business owner, when I have people who are here in person, IRL, in real life, in Vegas, right? Business owners who fly out, I say, what is your favorite type of content? Dollars to donuts, that's their favorite type of content. And so I make more of that, even though, and it would make sense. Like, it would make sense that there's fewer of those people, right? Because just think about math. If you've got the whole population here, I'll show you a little graph on this. And you have to do this math for yourself, otherwise you're gonna get really frustrated with your content. So let's say that 100% of people, like this represents 100%, let's just use USA because I already know all the numbers for USA, okay? So let's say this is 100%, all right? You get 100% of people who are interested. Okay, well, right now only 9% of people even own a business. Like 9%. So right off the bat, I'm gonna have a huge percentage of people that aren't my ideal audience. Now, of course, I do have people who are business interested, and that's why I'm a co-founder of School, and we give people a way to go start a business online in a low-cost way, right? Which you can do. It's $9 a month after a 14-day trial. You guys can check it out. And there's a bunch of like training and community and all that good stuff. All right, but you can go school.com, I think /Hormozi. I think it's below this video. Doesn't matter. Point being, 9% is what I'm competing for, okay? Now, that means there's about 32 to 33 million business owners in the US, okay? 32 million. That's 100% of all business owners. Now, within that, 95% of that 9% is below $1 million in revenue. 95%. So then I've got 5% of that 9% that are over $1 million. Now, if you want to get weird with it, what percent do you think is over 10 million? 0.4%. 1 in 250. 0.4%. And then 100 million, 9 figures, is I think 1 in roughly 3,000, depending on like your data source. 1 in 3,000 businesses gets to 100 million a year. This big. And so it would make sense then, right? That we've given these numbers, right? 9% is 32 million. So I know 5% of that is going to be 1.5 million people. There's only 1.5 million people who are business owners doing over 1 million, based on the math that this is Census Bureau data. Maybe theirs isn't correct, but that's the math, right? And so if we're looking at that's the market, then it would make sense that I'm not going to get all 100% of them to watch my video, right? If I got 1.5 million views and 100% of them were business owners, that'd be insane, right? And so it would make sense that, like, if I get 100,000 views on a video that's really made for that level of business owner, then I'm crushing it, right? And it doesn't make sense to look at, Mr. Beast's video with 100 million views and be like, oh man, I suck. It's like, dude, we're going after, we have different games, right? And so I'd encourage you to create accurate expectations of the size of the market that you're going after, and also think about the translation of these numbers into IRL, real life. Because when I started out and I was making YouTube content, like, I started zero, just like everybody else did. And I remember saying, like, I was like, can you imagine there's gonna be a time where we get 10,000 views on a video? I remember saying this. I was like, dude, we're gonna get 10,000 views in 24 hours. It's gonna be sick. And that was because at that time I was getting like 1,000 views in 24 hours, right? But for me, I was like, 1,000? Like, I worked in real life. I had brick and mortar. So for me to get 1,000 people in a room, I was like, my God, I would do lunch and learns with 15 people, right? So I got 15 views. I was like, hell yeah. I mean, I would do this in person, and this is just being convenient for them. So it's at home, right? And so I bring this up so that you don't judge, one, the number of views. It's way more important to have quality of views. I have 2 businesses that I looked at in the last year that were doing over $1 million a year with less than 5,000 followers. There's another business that's a B2B insurance company that I invested in that I don't want to share their numbers, but okay, I won't share. I'll just say many millions on like 10,000 followers. I'll just leave it there. All right. And so, like, you absolutely can make plenty of money with a very small following as long as you make content that's directly valuable for that following.
Advice to my younger self: document your life more. Otherwise, you'll forget the details. And the details are what make it worth remembering. That's powerful. I always tell my friends, we gotta take more pictures, more videos, whatever the amount that you take, it's not enough. Like, always take more. Not because you want to show anybody, but just because when I have those from the years past, I'm always so grateful I do. So what role has that played in your life, and how have you done that?
Well, I was notorious for not documenting anything for most of my life. And I think I have a different tweet that says the biggest regret I have is not documenting the failures, is like not documenting the low points. Because everyone wants to document the success story. But the only way you have a success story is if you show where you came from. And where you came from is the shitty part. And so, like, I did 30 something launches of gyms. I only made 1 recording. And it's like 2 minutes.
Damn.
And that 1 recording made me like $10 million because I ran it as an ad.
Wow.
Imagine if I had 30 other ones. But it was me in some random gym being like, look at this random gym I'm in the middle of nowhere. Like, and I'm like, isn't this weird? I was like, I just sold 200 people into this thing. Look at the stack of contracts. And I was actually not making it as an ad. I was sending it to a group that I had just joined to try and show that I was cool. They were all these internet people. And I was like, I do cool stuff too. I was like, I do stuff. Look at these contracts. It was me flexing to a group. It wasn't even an ad. And then I ran it as an ad, and then it murdered. Like, people in the gym world were like, I remember that ad, right? Because it was so crazy, because it was real. And so I think that the biggest mistake that I made from a marketing perspective, maybe a life perspective, biggest is strong. One of the mistakes I made is that I didn't document the low points. And so, like, I have a screenshot in my first book that's when I had $1,000 in my bank account. And for the audience who's listening, the $1,000 in my bank account for me, I had 6 locations before that. So going from 6 gyms to $1,000 in a matter of like 90 days was very hard for me. But it was hard enough that I do remember screenshotting it and being like, fucking remember this. Like, don't make this mistake again. And it was a little bit of like, at the time, like self-punishment of being like, you will not forget this. But as I've gained a little bit more grace to my younger self, I have those screenshots. And I've used that one screenshot of $1,000 in my bank account, probably more than any screenshot I've had from my past. And I took 1 picture of me sleeping on the floor at the gym. 1, and I just sent it to my dad being like, first night here, And I'm so grateful that I took the picture, because if I hadn't, I would, and I have so many other crazy things that happened, but I have no documentation of it. And so It's easy to say, hey, document. But the thing is that documenting is a local cost for a global benefit. It costs you now, but it benefits you long term, which is why most people don't do it. And so what I've tried to do with how we've oriented our life is that I give myself local benefit and global benefit. So I get fast feedback loops for documenting what we do now. And so we document everything, but I also get really fast feedback because I post it. Now, the problem is if you're not posting things, then you have no feedback cycle for remembering them, especially if they're tough. And so I think that one of the genius concepts of capture, don't create, et cetera, is that it actually gives you a feedback loop on something that otherwise has no benefit. Because in the moment you remember it, it just happened. In some ways you're trying to forget it, right? But like when you think about the human experience, when I think about my 85-year-old self, like what makes the human experience in its entirety, the human experience, is the highs and the lows.
So my question is, we already know that you guys have an insane machine of organic content, but how do you internally manage that entire content? I mean, how many times a day do you record yourself? Do you have how many editors, how many managers? How do you manage this entire content machine?
So right now I record once a week. And I just go live for basically like 3 or 4 hours. And I just do back-to-back YouTube videos while I'm live, and I interact with people in the chat in between. And then I take open Q&A at the end after I've done those videos, and that becomes clips. And so that's been really efficient for me. It's live, it's interactive, and I can do it in one sitting. And I think for me, my energy stays up way higher when I feel like I'm talking to people versus my 3 20-year-old guys behind the camera that I'm staring at while I'm talking about a video, which makes me want to kill myself. Yes, I stand by that. And so to answer your question, you probably just need more headcount in order to do what you want to do. So it's like I have a YouTube Shorts guy, I have a YouTube Long guy, I have a YouTube Long strategist, and I have a YouTube Long editor. I've got an Instagram guy, I have a LinkedIn guy, a Facebook guy, and so each one of them is in charge of that platform, and they're in charge of sourcing the content from the oodles and oodles of videos that I've recorded over however long and clipping that moment. And if it's written word, they can take any words that I've said and then just write it down. If it's like a LinkedIn post or something like, or Facebook, they need to put copy on it. But functionally, it's just like in the beginning, you'll have 1 or 2 guys that can do multiple, and then over time, specialization becomes important. Many of you probably do like shorts, and you're like, okay, I'm going to put this on YouTube Shorts, Instagram, and TikTok. But for anyone who's like done this long enough, you realize that all 3 platforms are very different. Like my YouTube Shorts do not perform on Instagram. My Instagram does not perform on TikTok. They have kind of fragmented, and kind of like the zeitgeist of the platform becomes increasingly important. And so that's why we have people per platform. So I think you should just think about it in terms of pre, peri, and post-production. So you have pre-production, which is where you're going to get the highest leverage in return on time, which is like, what's the idea? What's the idea? What's the packaging? What research do we have? What are the key points that we're going to talk about? The stories, the narratives, et cetera, visuals, all that's pre-production. The peri-production, like the actual production itself, that's pretty straightforward. I would just say like, do the thing that you feel like you are most energized by. Sam and I've had plenty of conversations about this, but like I have a pretty high pain tolerance for doing stuff that I hate doing for long periods of time. I would recommend trying to not hate stuff that you do for long periods of time. And so that's why I'm shifting more towards this live format. I also think it's better for the future anyways. And then there's post-production, which that can be far more decentralized and typically cheaper. Because if you nail the pre-production and you're in the right state of mind during the actual like capturing of the content, the post, I don't want to say it takes care of itself, but there's significantly less work. So basically like an ounce of pre is worth a pound of post. And so all of the leverage is up here. And I would say that if I were to do an analysis of everyone's content strategy, that's where most of you guys are missing it, right? It's just like, I just like when the spirit strikes me, that's when I like go live. And I think there's a time and a place for feeling inspired, and you should totally capture those. But if you want to hit like volume of content, then you need a little bit more structure in terms of like, we're planning this stuff out. We're going to think about what we're going to say. Because I don't know about most of you guys, but like, when someone leaves you a voice memo or a voice note and you're like, wow, this could have not been 4 minutes and could have been 30 seconds if they'd actually thought about what they were going to say. Most of y'all's content is the 4-minute voice memo. And if you just think about what you're going to say, you tend to say better stuff.
Right, perfect. I just one follow-up question. So do you have like a daily quota of content or a monthly quota?
The guys. So each of the guys or gals has what they're expected to post and produce from the recorded content for that week. And so it's like we have this big chunk of content. We also have oodles and oodles. Like there's 30 hours they could take from the live from the launch, right? It's like, well, any moment from that 30 hours you can take and clip into 30 seconds. So I think having the most natural way for you to capture is important so that there's stuff to work with. And then once you have volume of content, then it's okay, how do I increase the quality of that, which is where the pre comes in.
All right, thank you.
And it sounds like you're trying to do one thing that does everything.
Yeah.
Which I think is the only way to be sane these days, because there's too many things.
Yeah.
Like there's shorts, there's so many platforms. Oh my God.
Yeah.
If you just do one thing and it can be reproduced for many things.
It's a great point. Like the maximized version of content production for most people will just kill you. Eventually you'll end up having to have a production house or media house, which is basically what we're doing. But the idea is like for the creator or whoever the talent is, whoever's getting captured on camera, it's like you want them to be in a good state of mind. Otherwise the content tends to suck. But the kind of the personalization of the content is going to happen in post. So we know that this moment will probably do well on TikTok, but it won't do well on YouTube. So that's where like the specialization of the people who are per platform comes into play. So I'm going to say whatever I'm going to say during my live, but the TikTok guy knows that this piece is going to do well there. Sometimes it's the same part that all three guys thinks is going to do well, and they post them all three. But
my name is Jazz. I run Winnipeg Digest. It's a local newsletter/media company with an audience of 110,000 people in Winnipeg.
Sweet.
So that's about 70,000 on socials, 40,000 newsletter list in the last 18 months.
That's awesome.
We right now do. Yeah, thank you. We do about $10,000 in revenue right now, 6,000 profit through local advertising.
Okay.
Is that per month or per year?
Right?
That's per month, yeah.
Okay.
And then we currently have 6 annual advertisers, mostly paying about $1,000 per month, with 2 paying $2,000 per month.
Okay.
And then the rest of the revenue comes from single one-off ads.
Okay.
My question is a little two-part. So the first one is, how do I scale to $1 million without running out of local advertisers in the future, which I'm afraid of, or running into a supply constraint because we only send out 12 newsletters per month. So basically
Per month or
we have
per year?
12 primary. No, we send out 12 newsletters per month, so it's 3 per week.
Okay, got
Because every
it.
Monday, Wednesday, and Friday.
And these are digital, right?
Yeah, these are digital email
Okay.
newsletters.
Yeah. Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
And are you? I
Yeah.
mean,
So that's my question.
yeah. So I would not be worried about running out of advertisers. There's 110,000 people in the city. You can for sure get enough advertisers. That's not an issue. So put that one away. You running out of ad space is more possible. So you have how many people on your list?
So we have 40,000 on the list. The city is 1 million people.
Oh, the city's a
and
million.
110,000. Yeah, so the city is 1 million people. The 110,000 is what our audience size is. So it's 70,000 on social media. And
Oh, word.
40,000
Dude,
on
you have so much
email.
room. You have so much room. So much room.
Yeah, so that's kind of, so okay, so if I have room, then kind of from a growing perspective, then I'm afraid that we'll run out of ad space. So we'll run into a supply
No,
constraint.
you're not going to run out of ad space. You're going to have to make sure that you're pricing your CPMs appropriately. So, said differently, if you have, 250,000 of the people out of the million in the city on your newsletter, you could charge every ad would be, $100,000. Like it would be a lot.
Mm-hmm.
You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
Okay.
So, yeah. So the space itself, obviously, you have limited. You don't want to send your entire newsletters just all ads, right? That's not going to work. The way that media scales is via impressions and quality of impressions. And so you can charge more for the same space. That's what you have to do. So it's like, how do I scale this business? You get more eyeballs.
But it's like there's not that, or like I don't know if there's enough businesses that can pay me $100,000 per ad.
There are
locally.
for sure businesses. Well, again, you're selling 12 ads a month. There's $1,000 a month in advertising is not like many businesses can do that. Many businesses can do 5 or 10.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, like my dad used to run. My dad, local business owner, right? he used to spend $10,000 or $15,000 to be in like Baltimore Digest or something, or Baltimore's whatever. Like one magazine per month went out, and he would spend $15,000 to be in that thing for like a half page, right? So
okay, yeah. So that kind of I guess that kind of answers my second question too, which was like, it was either, okay, should I expand to new cities, stay in the current one but niche down? So let's say go start another one, but say Winnipeg Real Estate Digest or something, right? Or just keep.
I want you to keep
chugging
scaling
along
this
with
one. I do not think it's worth you splitting your attention right now. I think you have way more impressions to capture. The other piece that you want to consider here, though, is like, you're sending a newsletter. It's like, are there other places you can, like, you have 70K on social. It's like, we can charge for posts, we can charge for stories, we can charge for YouTube video integrations, we can charge for newsletter. Like, I would rather you do all that stuff first before even considering niching down for now.
Okay, but what you would say the next step would be to niche down after like a certain scale?
No, dude, I don't even want you to think about niching down. I want you to just do more. You need way more.
Okay. And from a acquisition standpoint of subscribers, we are currently running Facebook ads and acquiring subscribers at like $1.40. Right.
Okay.
So that's kind. So my question then is, do we continue to scale Facebook ads? Because right now it takes about like 3 months to break even on a subscriber.
Okay, so you already know that. Yeah. I mean, that's fine, man.
Yeah. So okay.
Yeah.
And so keep scaling Facebook ads and social.
Yeah. You can also sell people longer, periods of time on the front end.
Mm-hmm. And is there like a front end offer, like, because I know a lot of people in the space try and achieve like negative costs for acquiring a subscriber, right? So having some sort of a front end offer, would you say I should still continue to just push B2B advertising, or
you can push B2B advertising as you do your Facebook ads where people opt in for the newsletter? Just have something called an SLO, which is self-liquidating offer on the thank you page.
Okay.
Do you have anything on the thank you page that you sell them?
No, nothing right now. I made.
Bro, I'm about to change your life. I'm about to change your life. You ready?
Yeah.
I want you to offer a 10-pack of Guide to Winnipeg's Best Restaurants, Guide to Winnipeg's Best New Spots, Guide to Winnipeg's Best Ski,
Dessert.
Guide to Best Dessert. Like literally, just put 10 different kind of like magazines. Do it once. Make that 10-pack like $37. Put it on the thank you page. If you can get 1 out of 37 people to buy it, your cost of acquisition is 0, and then you can scale the thing to the fucking moon.
So those would be physical things, or
No,
like
you can make it
digital
digital,
guides?
dude. You can make it digital. It's fine.
Okay, yeah, I was literally about to offer that for free in our welcome sequence. So
There we go.
okay, and yeah, okay, no, I think that kind of answers.
I
most
feel
of
like
my questions.
that was pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, no, that was crazy. So thank you.
All right.
No, like, I mean, I've been like going back and forth with like, oh, should I start a Christmas holiday lights company on top of this?
No,
or
dude,
something?
no,
Or,
no.
like,
No.
Dude, you
What?
have
That
a
sounds
media
fucking
business.
awful.
No, it sounds horrible. Do more of this. All you have to do is add a self-liquidating offer on the front end. You'll be able to grow the hell out of your media. You can charge more. You can get more advertisers in. Done and done. You can also, to your concern, you can also parse your list, right? So let's say you triple your list size. If for some reason you can't find advertisers who can pay more, which I wholeheartedly reject, but just to show you that you can still be creative here, you can say, I'm going to send 12 emails to these people, 12 emails to these people, and 12 emails to these people. List A, B, and C, because you made the list 3 times as big, and you can charge that many more times.
Okay, got it. That answers, I think, all my questions. Thank you.
All right. Rock and roll, man. Appreciate you.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Goodbye. If you like this video and you're a business owner who wants to break through your current revenue ceiling, I distilled every lesson from scaling 10 businesses past 10 million and 3 businesses past 100 million into a completely free scaling roadmap that I've used to go from 0 to 1, 0 to 10, and 0 to 100 plus. And so you can click here and you can check it out. Again, absolutely free. And since you're a business owner, appreciate you and enjoy.